The gun barrel gleamed under the crystal chandelier as Kaka watched her husband laugh with his brothers, cold, untouchable Kang Min-ho, the Seoul underworld's youngest mafia boss. He hadn't looked at her once tonight, but when the assassin's bullet tore through the air, her body moved on instinct. She threw herself between him and death. The impact shattered her shoulder. His scream shattered something deeper. And as his trembling hands caught her falling body, his icy heart cracked open for the first time in 10 years. Welcome to Afro-Korean romance, where love has no borders. If you believe in love, please like, share, and subscribe for more Afro-Korean romance stories. 3 years earlier, Kaka had arrived in Seoul with nothing but a suitcase and a translation job at a corporate law firm. She was curvy, confident, and determined to build a life far from her painful past. She never expected to collide literally with Kang Min-ho outside a luxury hotel. His documents scattered across the pavement. Their eyes met. Something shifted in his chest, sharp and unfamiliar. He couldn't stop staring at her. "I'm so sorry," she stammered, gathering papers with shaking hands. He said nothing, just watched her with dark, unreadable eyes. Later that night, Min-ho sat in his penthouse office, unable to focus. Her face haunted him, her voice, the way her curves moved beneath that modest dress. He told himself it was nothing. He had no room for distractions. But when his assistant mentioned she worked in the building next door, he found himself ordering daily coffee deliveries to her floor. The next day, Kaka found an expensive latte on her desk with no name attached. Then pastries, then flowers. Her coworkers whispered, but no one knew who sent them. She tried to ignore the flutter in her stomach. Whoever he was, she didn't have time for games. A few days later, Min-ho engineered a second meeting. He walked into her firm for a consultation. When she entered the conference room and saw him seated at the head of the table, her breath caught. He looked like power incarnate, tailored suit, cold expression, danger radiating from every angle. "You," she whispered. His lips curved slightly. "You remember." Their professional conversation was tense, crackling with unspoken electricity. She tried to stay composed, but his gaze stripped away every defense. When the meeting ended, he lingered. "Have dinner with me." "I don't even know you." "Then let me fix that." She should have said no. Instead, she found herself nodding. That evening, he took her to a private restaurant overlooking the Han River. He was surprisingly gentle, asking about her life, her dreams. She found herself opening up despite every warning bell in her head. He listened like she was the only person in the world. "Why me?" she finally asked. His jaw tightened. "I don't know yet, but I intend to find out." The following morning, Kaka woke to rumors spreading through her office. Someone had seen her with Kang Min-ho. Whispers followed her everywhere. She learned the truth quickly. He wasn't just wealthy, he was dangerous, the head of one of Seoul's most powerful crime families. When he called that afternoon, she confronted him. "You didn't tell me what you really are." Silence. Then would it have mattered? "Yes. I'm not letting you go, Kaka, is not now." She hung up, heart pounding, but he appeared at her apartment that night, standing in the rain outside her building. She opened the window, furious and terrified and inexplicably drawn to him. "Go away." "No. I can't be with someone like you." His eyes blazed. "Then I'll become someone you can be with." A few days later, Min-ho's world erupted. A rival family attacked one of his warehouses. 3 men died. The violence escalated. He knew he should stay away from Kaka, keep her safe by keeping distance. But when he saw another man, a coworker, laughing with her in a cafe, possessive rage consumed him. He walked in, grabbed the man by the collar and dragged him outside. Kaka followed, horrified. "What are you doing?" "He was touching you." "He was being friendly." Min-ho's hands shook with barely controlled fury. "No man touches what's mine." "I'm not yours." His expression cracked, revealing raw vulnerability beneath the ice. You have been since the moment I saw you." That evening, his family summoned him for an emergency meeting. His father, the former boss, demanded he end whatever distraction was making him weak. Min-ho refused. For the first time in his life, he defied the family code. "I'm keeping her." His father's face darkened. "Then you'll marry her properly or cut her loose." The following week, Min-ho appeared at Kaka's door with a ring. She stared at the black velvet box, stunned. "Marry me." "Are you insane?" "Yes, since I met you." "This is too fast." "I don't care, I need you legal, protected mine." She should have refused. Instead, tears filled her eyes. I don't understand you. He cupped her face with surprising gentleness. I don't understand myself anymore, but I know I can't breathe when you're not near. I know I'd burn Seoul to ash if anyone hurt you. I know I'm yours even if you're not ready to be mine yet. She kissed him, the world tilted. Later that night, alone in her apartment, reality crashed down. She was agreeing to marry a mafia boss, a man who lived in violence and shadows. But when she closed her eyes, all she felt was his tenderness, his fierce protection, the way he looked at her like she was sacred. A few days later, they married in a small, tense ceremony. His family watched with cold calculation. She wore white, trembling as he slid the ring onto her finger. When he kissed her, she felt his desperation, his need, his silent vow to keep her safe. Their wedding night was spent in his fortified penthouse. He was patient, worshipful, devastating. He made love to her like she was precious, breakable, essential. She fell apart in his arms, whispering his name like a prayer. Afterward, he held her close, fingers tracing patterns on her skin. I'll protect you, he murmured against her hair, always. But morning brought complications. Min-ho's enemies learned about his marriage. The whispers started he'd married an outsider, a foreigner, someone with no power or connections. Some saw it as weakness, others saw opportunity. The next day, Min-ho left for business, kissing her forehead with unusual intensity. Stay inside, trust no one. She nodded, but loneliness crept in. His world was violent, secretive, cold. She wondered if she'd made a terrible mistake. That evening, one of his men delivered a gift, a diamond necklace worth a fortune. The note read, "Because you deserve beautiful things, MH." She touched the stones, heart aching. He showed love through protection, through gifts, through possession, but she craved his presence, his words, his time. A few days later, at a mandatory family dinner, Kaka sat beside Min-ho at a long table surrounded by dangerous men. He barely acknowledged her, his attention fixed on business discussions. She felt invisible, ornamental, irrelevant. An older cousin smirked. Pretty decoration, Min-ho, does she speak? Min-ho's expression didn't change, careful. But he still didn't look at her. Humiliation burned through Kaka's chest. She excused herself, retreating to the bathroom where she pressed her hands against the sink, breathing hard. She'd married a man who loved her in private but ignored her in public. When she returned, the dinner continued. Min-ho's hand found hers under the table, squeezing gently. It was the only acknowledgement she received all night. Later that night back home, she confronted him. Why did you marry me if you're ashamed of me? His head snapped up, genuine shock in his eyes. Ashamed. You didn't even look at me tonight. He crossed the room in 3 strides, gripping her shoulders. I ignored you to protect you. If they see you matter, they'll use you against me. If they think you're just arm candy, they'll dismiss you. It keeps you safe. I don't want to be safe, I want to be yours. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. You are mine, every breath, every heartbeat, mine. He kissed her with bruising intensity, walking her backward until she hit the wall. The heat between them exploded. His hands roamed possessively, claiming every curve. She gasped his name, fingers tangling in his hair. They barely made it to the bedroom. The following morning, Kaka woke alone. Again, Min-ho's side of the bed was cold. She found a note, business emergency, back tonight, MH. Loneliness became her constant companion. A few days later, she started volunteering at a community center, desperate for connection. There, she met Junho, a kind social worker who treated her like a person, not a possession. They became friends. She told Min-ho about him casually. His reaction was immediate and terrifying. A man. A friend. No. Excuse me. His eyes turned glacial. No male friends, not while you're mine. They fought bitterly. She called him controlling. He called her naive. The argument ended with her sleeping in the guest room, heartbreaking. The next day, Min-ho had Junho investigated, transferred, and effectively removed from Kaka's life. When she discovered what he'd done, her fury was incandescent. You had no right. I have every right, you're my wife. I'm a person. His control snapped. He slammed his hand against the wall beside her head, caging her in. You're everything, don't you understand? I can't function when you're threatened. I can't think. I can't breathe. So yes, I removed him. I'll remove anyone who gets too close. Tears streamed down her face. This isn't love, it's obsession. His voice broke, it's both, and I can't stop it. That evening, she packed a bag. Min-ho found her in the bedroom, stared at the suitcase, and something shattered behind his eyes. Don't. I can't live like this. He dropped to his knees before her, this powerful, terrifying man, and pressed his forehead against her stomach. Please, I'll try, I'll be better, just don't leave. She'd never seen him vulnerable, never seen him break. Her hands found his hair, trembling. You have to let me breathe. I will, I swear, just stay. She stayed. The following week, Min-ho made visible efforts. He came home earlier, ate dinner with her, asked about her day. The cold distance thawed slightly, she started to hope. Then everything exploded. A rival family, the Chois, orchestrated an ambush at another family dinner. Kaka sat beside Min-ho, trying to navigate awkward conversation when the first shot rang out. Chaos erupted. Min-ho's men drew weapons, glass shattered. And Kaka saw the gunman aiming directly at her husband's head. Time slowed. She didn't think. She just moved. Her body collided with Min-ho's as the bullet fired. The impact was an explosion of white-hot agony in her shoulder. She heard his scream, raw, animalistic, broken as they crashed to the floor together. His hands were everywhere trying to stop the bleeding, his face paper-white. No, 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 Kaka, stay with me. Gunfire continued around them, but his entire world had narrowed to the woman dying in his arms. Get the car, he roared at his men, now. He carried her himself, running through smoke and chaos, pressing his jacket against her wound. She struggled to keep her eyes open, watching his face, this beautiful, terrible face twisted in terror. Min-ho. Don't talk, save your strength, you're going to be fine, you have to be fine. At the hospital, he refused to let go even as doctors tried to take her to surgery. It took 3 of his own men to pull him away. He paced the waiting room like a caged animal, her blood covering his shirt and hands. Hours crawled past. When the surgeon finally emerged, Min-ho grabbed him. Is she alive? The surgery was successful. The bullet missed major arteries, but recovery will take time. Min-ho's knees nearly buckled with relief. Min-ho spent 3 days at Kaka's bedside, refusing food, refusing sleep, refusing to leave. He held her hand like a lifeline, pressing kisses to her knuckles, whispering apologies into her skin. His family came and went, but he barely acknowledged them. She was his entire world. When Kaka finally woke, groggy and disoriented, the first thing she saw was his face, haggard, exhausted, devastated. His eyes were red-rimmed, his usually perfect appearance completely undone. Min-ho. He surged forward, cradling her face with shaking hands. You're awake, thank God you're awake. What happened? You took a bullet for me, his voice cracked. You almost died saving me. The memories flooded back, the dinner, the gunman, the choice that required no thought at all. I couldn't let him kill you, she whispered. Something broke in his expression. He pressed his forehead to hers, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. You should have let me die, I'm not worth your life. She touched his face with her good hand. You're worth everything to me. He kissed her then, desperate, reverent, full of promises and fears and overwhelming love. When he pulled back, tears streaked his face. I love you, he said, raw and honest. I've loved you since the moment you crashed into my life. I've been terrified of it, terrible at showing it, but it's consumed me completely. Her own tears fell. I love you too, even when you're impossible and controlling and infuriating. I'll be better, I swear I'll be better. The following days brought complications. The Choi family had declared open war. Min-ho's empire was under siege from multiple fronts, but he refused to leave Kaka's side, conducting business from her hospital room, his hand always touching her somehow, her arm, her leg, her hair. His second-in-command, Yoo Jun-seo, finally confronted him. Boss, you need to address the families, show strength. They're calling you weak. Min-ho's eyes turned deadly. Let them, anyone who threatens what's mine will learn exactly how weak I am. A few days later, Kaka was released from the hospital. Min-ho carried her into a new penthouse, not the one they'd shared before, but a fortress with bulletproof glass, armed guards, and every security measure imaginable. This is too much, she protested. Nothing is too much, not for you. He hired a private nurse, a physical therapist, and staffed the apartment with people whose only job was her safety and comfort. She felt suffocated and cherished in equal measure. That evening, as he carefully helped her change into pajamas, his hands lingering on her skin with gentle reverence, she caught his wrist. "I'm not fragile." His eyes met hers, dark and intense. "You are to me, you're the only thing in this world that can break me." He proved it over the following weeks. While Kaka recovered, Min-ho waged silent war on the Choi family. He dismantled their operations piece by piece, seized their assets, turned their allies against them. He did it all from her bedside, making calls in low, dangerous tones while holding her hand. She watched him work, seeing the ruthless mafia boss everyone feared. But she also saw the man who brought her tea exactly how she liked it, who read to her when she couldn't sleep, who traced the scar on her shoulder with heartbroken tenderness every night. Later that month, when she was strong enough to move around, Min-ho took her to his family's main compound. A full gathering had been called. Every ranking member would be there. "Why now?" she asked nervously. "Because it's time they understood exactly who you are." The massive dining hall fell silent when they entered. Min-ho's hand pressed possessively against her lower back, guiding her to the head table. He seated her in the place of honor right beside the family patriarch's chair. His father's eyes narrowed. "Min-ho." "This woman," Min-ho's voice cut through the room like a blade, "took a bullet meant for me. She nearly died protecting my life. Anyone in this family who doesn't show her the respect she deserves will answer to me personally." Shock rippled through the assembly. He continued, his hand finding Kaka's. "She is not arm candy, she is not a weakness. She is my strength, my heart, and the future of this family. You will treat her as you treat me, with absolute deference." Kaka's heart thundered. He was claiming her publicly, dangerously, completely. His father stood slowly. "You would elevate an outsider above bloodline." Min-ho's eyes were ice and fire. "I would burn this entire organization to ash before I let anyone diminish her, so yes, adjust accordingly." The tension was suffocating. Then, surprisingly, Min-ho's father smiled, a cold, calculating expression. "You've finally become the leader I raised you to be, ruthless enough to claim what you want and strong enough to protect it." He raised his glass to Min-ho's wife. May she continue to bring out his killer instinct. The room erupted in answering toasts, though not all were genuine. Kaka felt eyes assessing her, measuring her, some with respect, others with resentment. That night back home, she confronted him. "You just painted an even bigger target on my back." "No, I made you untouchable. Now everyone knows to hurt you is to invite annihilation." She wanted to argue, but the fierce protectiveness in his eyes stopped her. Instead, she kissed him, pouring 3 years of complicated love into the contact. He responded with devastating intensity, lifting her onto the kitchen counter despite her protests about her healing shoulder. His hands mapped her body like he was memorizing every curve, every reaction. She gasped his name, fingers tangling in his hair. "I need you," he growled against her throat. "Tell me you're healed enough, tell me I won't hurt you." "You won't hurt me, I trust you." He carried her to the bedroom with exquisite care, worshipping her body with hands and mouth until she shattered beneath him. When he finally joined them together, it felt like coming home, intense, overwhelming, perfectly right. Afterward, tangled in expensive sheets, he traced lazy patterns on her skin. "Marry me again." She laughed. "We're already married." "I want to do it right this time. Big wedding, your family there, show the world you're mine." Her smile faded. "My family, they don't approve, they think I'm crazy for being with you." His expression hardened. "Then they're idiots." "Min-ho, anyone who doesn't see your worth isn't worth your time, even family." She curled into his chest, breathing in his scent. "You really love me." Completely, obsessively, eternally. The following morning, Min-ho woke her with coffee and pastries, the same ones he'd sent anonymously all those years ago. "You remembered," she whispered. "I remember everything about you." A few days later, the Choi family made their final move. They kidnapped Kaka from a supposed secure location, a medical follow-up appointment that Min-ho's enemies had somehow learned about. She woke in a dark warehouse, zip-tied to a chair, head throbbing. 3 men stood around her, weapons visible. Nothing personal, one said, but Kang Min-ho needs to learn there are consequences. Terror clawed through her, but she forced herself to stay calm. Min-ho would come, she knew he would. Meanwhile, Min-ho received the ransom video and went absolutely feral. His men had never seen him like this, unhinged, violent, barely human. He assembled every soldier, called in every favor, activated every asset. I want them found in the next hour, or I start executing people until someone produces results. His men moved with terrified efficiency. 47 minutes later, they had a location. Min-ho led the assault personally, something he never did. He walked into that warehouse like the angel of death, gun in hand, eyes empty of everything except murderous purpose. The firefight was brief and brutal. Min-ho killed 2 men himself before reaching Kaka. When he saw her bruised, terrified but alive, something human flickered back into his expression. He cut her restraints with shaking hands, pulling her against his chest. "I've got you, you're safe, I've got you." She sobbed into his shoulder as bullets still flew around them. His men secured the perimeter while he carried her out, sheltering her body with his own. In the car, he held her so tightly she could barely breathe, his face buried in her hair, whispering apologies and promises and threats against anyone who'd ever hurt her. "I should have protected you better. You saved me. I almost lost you, again." She pulled back to look at him, this terrifying, powerful man completely undone by love. "You'll never lose me, I'm yours, remember." He kissed her like he was drowning and she was air. That evening, Min-ho executed the surviving Choi family leadership himself. He made it public, made it brutal. Made it a message. The underworld got the point. Kang Min-ho's wife was sacred ground. The following week, Min-ho made good on his promise. He planned an elaborate wedding ceremony, traditional Korean elements mixed with touches from Kaka's culture, creating something unique and beautiful. Her family flew in, initially skeptical, but Min-ho won them over with surprising charm and undeniable devotion to their daughter. Her mother pulled her aside. "That man looks at you like you hung the stars." Kaka smiled. "He's everything I never knew I needed." The wedding was magnificent. Kaka wore a custom gown that made her look like a queen. When Min-ho saw her walking down the aisle, tears actually filled his eyes. His vows destroyed her. "You saved my life twice, once when you took that bullet and once when you loved me despite every reason not to. I vow to spend the rest of my life being worthy of that love. You are my heart, my home, my everything." She cried through her own vows, promising to stand beside him through darkness and danger, to love him fiercely and completely, to never regret the day she crashed into his life. When he kissed her, the entire assembly erupted in applause. The reception was legendary. Min-ho barely left her side, introducing her to everyone with fierce pride, his hand never leaving her body, her waist, her back, her hand. During their first dance he whispered, "I want children with you, little girls with your beauty and strength." Her heart skipped. "Min-ho, I want everything with you, a real life, not just survival but joy." She kissed him softly, "Then let's build it together." 6 months later, Kaka stood in their penthouse bathroom, staring at the positive pregnancy test with shaking hands. Terror and joy warred in her chest. When Min-ho came home that evening, she simply handed him the test without words. He stared at it for a long moment. Then he dropped to his knees, pressing his face against her still flat stomach, shoulders shaking. "We're having a baby," he whispered, voice broken with emotion. "We're having a baby," she confirmed, threading her fingers through his hair. He looked up at her with wonder and fear and overwhelming love. "I'm going to be a father. The best father I know it." He stood, cradling her face. "I love you so much it terrifies me." "I love you too, all of you, the dangerous parts and the gentle parts and everything in between." Their daughter was born 9 months later, a beautiful, healthy baby girl with her mother's features and her father's intensity. Min-ho held her for the first time and actually cried, this man who'd faced death 1,000 times without flinching. "She's perfect," he breathed, "you're both perfect." Kaka watched him with their daughter and knew, despite everything, the danger, the violence, the impossible circumstances, they'd found something rare and precious. Love that conquered fear. Love that survived bullets and betrayals. Love that built a family from chaos. 2 years later, Kaka stood on their penthouse balcony, watching Min-ho play with their toddler daughter in the living room. He'd stepped back from the violent side of the business, focusing on legitimate enterprises, building a safer legacy for their child. He caught her watching and smiled, that rare genuine smile reserved only for her. She smiled back, touching the scar on her shoulder, the permanent reminder of the night everything changed. She'd taken a bullet for him, and he'd spent every day since proving she'd made the right choice. Their love was dark, dangerous, all-consuming. And absolutely perfectly theirs.